Good evening, everybody at home, watching live on Maconi Entertainment for the second round of the Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series specials. We're bringing back this all-time classic Dirt Car League giveaway, another $100 to a champion, this time on the non-winged cars. Terrifying pocket rockets, looser than anything else you'll see on the track, and on a high bank track that's going to bring calamity all around. Howie Burrows alongside the call today, and to start we'll be joined by Jeremy Briggs alongside for the opening round of this special event. We should be getting plenty of rounds of racing action, Jeremy.
Oh, good evening, Howie. This is going to be a spectacular event. If you've seen these cars in real life, they put on one heck of a show on the sim. It's going to be just the same here tonight. These non-wing sprint cars are awesome. All that power, no downforce. Just got to send in there, let it rip, and hope it grips here tonight at Huset.
Last week's racing was thrilling, but this one might just be a little bit scarier. No downforce, a lot more side-by-side racing at a high-banked track. Probably going to be carrying less speed in the corners, but as you can just see from these qualifying laps, you'll be throwing the car up the hill, trying to get all that dirt up there on the top, trying to use the momentum of the progressive banking around this speedway. Gotta say, I didn't know too much about dirt racing until just a few events ago on this channel, and I've become enthralled the whole way along, and it's an absolute joy to be a part of the experience of all of you. $100 on the line to first place, 75 to second, I believe top five all make some kind of money, and we have the potential of running a alphabet soup format. Last week we didn't, but this week we do have more drivers that have hit the grid, surprisingly, for the tougher cars. Lots of races up ahead, so we're just gonna jump straight to our first heat, and we'll take it away. This is a very, very fast moving day. Heat 1, Ryan Avila starts at first next to Blake Carrick. Ryan Gray is in third next to Bryce Lucius. Trey Schmidt is in fifth next to Landon Cardoza. Adam Elby in seventh. Brandon Steele in eighth. Blake Douglas is in ninth, and Brian Cross is in 10th. Our 10 drivers, mark this, top 3 should make the feature. We did say this last time, and then we didn't have enough drivers and everybody made the feature. But if everybody sticks around for the entire length of the session, then the top 3 drivers in this 10 will instantly make the feature, and the rest will have to qualify up. Otherwise, you're earning your grid positions based upon this. Not many laps around here for each sprint run, so how hard quite do you have to send it when you've only got 8 laps to make these positions up?
That's exactly it, Howie. 8 laps to make up every position you can. The hot seat's going to be that third position, or that battle is going to be hot. And if you're in that third and final transfer position, you're going to be sweating bullets lap after lap, trying not to make a mistake, because these cars are fast as they're getting ready to roll away. This is going to be one heck of a show here on these heat races.
Top 3 who got good qualifying times are going to love the track position. We have plenty of drivers, yet again, by the way, from the World of Outlaws iRacing series, including some world champions on the road. It's an absolute honor to be able to call some of the spectacular racing these drivers get up to. But we're on 1 to green around this track, and you can see the progressive banking on the edge of this track. It really adds another dimension to the way you take it on. Last week we were at Kern, very asymmetrical, quite tight and tricky. This is going to be a race of full sending it around the circuit. Pace truck almost about to pull in. Ryan Avila gets to lead the pack. I believe last time it was the exit of turn 3. This time around, you can take a look at these cars, and they are so much smaller and so much more agile than the winged cars, but that Lucius is going to lead to side-by-side racing like absolutely nothing else. Brian gets to lead the pack, and now we are green. Blake Claret holds him up, entering turn 1. Ryan Gray stuck to the bottom. Trey Schmidt's in fourth on the outside.
Trey Schmidt trying to get into that third and final position right on the back bumper of Ryan Gray. They were battling right there, all trying to rip that high line. That's where the speed is, trying to throw in sliders, trying to protect the sliders behind you. Man, this is quick. This is going back to lap number 2 already underway.
Top two running away, but Rylan Gray can't quite get the rest off his rear bumper. Bit of a run up into the wall for Trey Schmidt. May slow him down. And I think Rylan Gray's getting a little bit safer and safer. He's very confident in that top line. You see the cushion already disappearing, though, from the way the drivers have run it. Up front, Blake Clarick, he's closing a gap into Ryan Miller, but might not want to send this absolutely all the way to the end. Rylan Gray holding off the rest of the pack. We've only got a few laps now to make a set. What line would you take to get past Rylan here?
Man, that's what you're going to have to throw it there on a slider as we're already past halfway, but you got to have that momentum built up, and unfortunately not really having good exits. That's really helping Rylan Gray pull away, trying to just protect that position. Really not in a position right now for Trey Schmidt to throw a slider. We'll see. Coming to the white flag next time.
That track evolution on the top is going to be brutal. Every driver loves that cushion. It's progressively banked up there, so you're going to be able to carry more momentum, and you have the packed up dirt. You can just see the lines already almost disappeared in 1 and 2. One last chance for Trey Schmidt. Tries to send it in behind Rylan Gray, but I don't think the momentum is there. Ryan Aveda, Blake Clarick, and Rylan Gray, your top three. And with that, I'll give you the starting grid run of the next race, because these races, they fly by very, very fast.
Heat races,
here it comes. It's coming. We're working on it. Here's your Heat 2.
Tanner, that Petit right there, the leader, 24. Number 2 position goes to number 29 of Jace Schaff. Third starting position, you got the number 80 of Vinny Stansone. Fourth starting spot, you got the 41 of Logan Rumsey. Fifth starting position, you got the 15 of Matthew Rogers. Sixth starting position, you got the number 3 of Cody Downard. Seventh starting position, you got the 14 of Landon Crawley. Eighth starting position, you got the 71 of Miles Jansen. Ninth starting spot, you got the 7 of Preston Hotel. And the 10th and final spot, you got the 69 of Jace Park.
You learn a lot when you're in one of the later heats in this series. When you're the first ones out there on the track, you're the first ones to really go side by side with others. You get to watch what has worked and what hasn't. Obviously, the drivers as well from the previous race sort of bedding in the track a little bit and changing the conditions. So it became quite single groove that time around. Would you do anything differently if you're looking for that P3 position?
I wouldn't know what to do. That was a very good defensive line running up on that top, not able to get the sliders put in when you wanted to send it in there. You lose so much momentum on the exits. We'll see what drivers watch that heat race from the stands, basically, to put it, and learn something. See what they can put into play here tonight. Vinny Sansone is going to be in the hot seat to start this race.
Well, what I've noticed, I think we're missing the 80 of Vinny Sansone and the 69 of Jace Park. So that's going to shuffle the order up a little bit. It means that Logan Rumsey is still going to be 4th, but that means Matthew Rogers gets moved up a position on that outside lane. Rules of the Dutch Sprint Car Championship Series, as ever, is once the pace truck is in, leader can go midway through turn 3. Very different style of racing we've seen so far, but I think the track is going to definitely have to change over as the race goes on. I can already see that slick line developing at the bottom of 3 and 4 that we didn't really see last time around. Pace truck on the way in now. Hasn't really developed around the other 2 turns here. Tanner Pettit will launch, and away we go for the green flag. It's been Jay Schaff in P2 and Matthew Rogers in P3. Logan Rumsey running that high side. They're side by side on exits. And this time, this pack's a lot more compressed. But right up against the wall, that's Jay Schaff. Hit and sent back. And that's going to be a mount to climb, but it's not completely down and out. More contact there. Further up, and that's Logan Rumsey bumping and banging. Over the top goes Jay Schaff. From bad to worse. I think we stay green on the track, though.
Yes, going to keep it green here under these heat races. Tanner Pete just run away. Matthew Rogers, Landon Crawley. Your top 3 right now, Crawley, with a second gap over 4th place.
The gaps are significant here, so I have the feeling like it's going to be very hard to make it up. And now this is going to be a race of running it to the end, so I might get a chance to actually review what just happened. It was Logan Rumsey and Jace Schaff that collided together. Don't see too much shaking for positions. Let's see if we can show this. We're actually looking at Logan Rumsey's car right now. Runs up against the top, bumps into the 26th, then shoulder checked again, and finally sent down. And I think that might have been Miles Jansen. It wasn't Miles Jansen, but shoulder checked. It would have been Landon Crawley's car. Lapped cars on the track, but these are mostly just going to be an impediment as the white flag comes out. Top 3 is reigned pretty much as is. Kind of affected Matthew Rogers and Landon Crawley look due to take this top 3 on the checkered flag here today.
What was that, 2 minutes? These heat races are flying. They don't mess around. These cars are fast. They right rears.
Time flies, especially when you don't have the cautions. We're only going to have 3 heats before we move on to the next round. So, make that a heat 3 and let me get going with that starting grid as soon as iRacing feels like cooperating with me. Can't be too mean about them. Here we go. Here we go. What's happened to time of day on this circuit? I must say the cloud cover has just significantly changed. Gunnar Harris lines up on first next to Craig Silby. Casey Simons is in P3 next to Richie Gaines. Nick Cordova lines up in P5 next to Yancey Beasley. Drew Neal is in 7th next to Glenn Reinhardt. And Trevor Royer is the last car registered to start this race. 9 in our 3rd and final heat before we work out exactly which rounds to move on to. I've been told if we have above 22 cars, we'll expect a B main. Last week we had less than 22 by that point, so we skipped the phase entirely. Gunnar Harris, Craig Silby, and Casey Simons doesn't seem to be lining up, so Nick Cordova will be the car to inherit that inside line. Richie Gaines still 4th on the outside.
Pace truck just pop out in here. Getting ready to release the field.
2 very, very, very different races. That one, I think they got a little bit too physical in their time, but we can saw the potential of what these cars do when they run up next to each other. I find people do not send it the entire way when they are battling it out next to other cars in the heats. It builds all the way up to a that mega feature where people will do anything to move somebody else out of the way. Interesting, these cars take damage so differently as well because you don't have the wing to break off. You lose that thing, flip that car in a winged race, it's basically just completely over for you. These cars, you can just sit on the roll cage and hopefully make it out in one piece if you get that caution, which we didn't get last time. It's amazing how slow the pace laps can actually end up being around here, despite the track being so small. But the pace truck is now in, and you can see just that cushion is built up significantly on the high side there in 3 and 4. That's thick, and there's almost no transition down to the slick rear green. Gunnar Harris leads the field away. Nick Cordova is your P3, and a little bit of a scattering up behind. We're very much side by side in this mess. That's Yancey Beasley in the 11, sort of almost stuck 3 wide entering the turn, and almost 4 wide now exiting. Yancey gets ahead of Trevor Royer, Drew Neal, and Glenn Reinhardt. Top 3 remaining as is for Richie Gaines. He's not too far off making a move.
Richie Gaines trying to figure out where there might be some bite here. Right there on the outside looking in, trying to transfer right to the feature in P4. Needs to be in position number 3. Oh, we do have a yellow.
Looks like Glenn Reinhardt may have just parked the car and decided to be done with it. Let's take a look. Oh, washes up a little bit too much there into the side of, I'm trying to work out, I think. Unfortunately, this gets like really, 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 really hard when the caution laps are off. It gets very, very, very hard to follow what's going on. So we'll keep an eye. Looks like Drew Neal's car. Looks like Drew Neal's car. Yeah, watches up a little bit wide. Drew Neal. A little bit of damage done to that car, but he might be able to keep it rolling. Looks like Reinhardt's just given up on the race entirely, though, and has taken it to the infield. You know, he's going for pit repairs. If he can get the car repaired, he actually can get it back up. You don't lose laps under these cautions, of course.
Yes, caution laps are not counting. Pace truck lights are still on. Getting repairs. At this time, we'll see if we can roll out, pack onto the back of the field, and try to maybe have a miracle and slip one out and get back into a transfer spot.
Fastest lap of this race is Craig Silby. It's a 36. Well, I was told it was actually Nick Cordova of a 36.012. Craig Silby has a 36.226. How could I be so foolish? Drew Neal's listed as a 33.3, but I don't think that's quite right. No, those were last laps. Those were last laps. I'm being very, very silly. Let's just put the fastest lap graphic on the screen so we know who did it. It was Craig Silby of a 12.737. Timing the pace laps, people. You got to do a lot. You got to do a lot in this job, all right? Pace cars coming in. And we'll be able to get this field rolling again. Obviously, single fail this time around on the restart. Everybody hugging the top where that cushion has disappeared out of the top in 3 and 4. Silby gets away, but Gaines and Cordova battling out. It looks like Gaines has picked up a black flag on that restart. I do not know if that's going to get cleared in an event of this nature, and that might send them right to the back and out of this.
Extremely unfortunate right there for Gaines. Not sure how that was acquired, but that's going to probably give the transfer spot right now is between 4th and 5th of Cordova and Royer.
Gunnar Harris making a pass for the lead, and Silby's just been nothing but slowed up in the way. That's Gaines on the bottom. Cordova's running the top. That cushion's disappeared, and it's forcing drivers down now to try and find where the rest of the turn may remain. You can see how light it's gotten up there on those other 2 turns. Meanwhile, this top you could rip very, very hard. Yancy Beasley in that left drive, but I think it actually just slowed them down. White flag in the air. Gunnar Harris, Craig Silby, and Richie Gaines is in that P3 position, and maybe a time penalty applied at the end. Nick Cordova competing to try and see if he can hold on to that P4, but Trevor Royer takes a big shot up to the inside. It's not going to be enough. On the board, it's Harris, Silby, and Gaines. We'll see how that actually develops, though, into the future rounds, as we'll get confirmation during our next warm-up section as to exactly which sessions we're going to run. As I said, 3 very different races. They are always very, very different, but the racing's only getting spicier, and a lot of it is due to the way that track is changing. We are doing 2 alphabet soup rounds. So we're going to start with the C main and start with the C main, and it looks as if the top 6 are going to make it into the B main. In our C main, Jay Schaff lines up in P1 next to Richie Gaines. In P2, Brian Cross is in 3rd next to Logan Rumsey. Drew Neal is in 5th next to Adam Elby. There's 13 cars on the grid today. Cody Downard, which I need to work out to get some of that underglow on my car, man. Next to Glenn Reinhardt in 8th. Blake Jugular in 9th next to Vinny Sanso. Did not show up, so that space will probably be given up. Casey Simons next to Landon Cardoza. And Jace Park in P13. Top 6 are going to make it into the B main, and that will determine who will make it up into our feature. These races are going to get bigger, and now they're going to start getting longer. 12 laps around the track, and plenty more to play for.
12 laps, that's 12 more laps of action. Excuse me, not 12 more laps. If you do the math, 8 plus 8 to 12. You know what I mean. More laps added to this event. It's going to be exciting to see what these drivers do. What this track's changed so much under these conditions. I'm not sure how much of a reset it is. You can see some drivers up there on that top. Not sure if it's the cushion there yet. We'll see how it plays out.
Seems as if 1 and 2 are developing very differently to 3 and 4. We're seeing very different conditions build up near the top side of that track. Looks as if we do actually have Vinny Samson. He skipped his heat, but he's made it into the C main. This is the last chance to make your way up into the big feature race. Gonna go from C to B to A, just like that. And these races are gonna fly by all the same. Expect to go top 6 to make it, so your battle's really gonna be around 6th and 7th. Adam Elby up in 6th, Cody Downard in 7th, then Reinhardt as well involved in an accident earlier, given one more chance to advance. This pack really being held up, and you can really look at the dirt around the track to very much get a sense of where drivers are going to love running. You can see that cushion almost entirely gone in the other 2 turns, which is quite significant there up on the top there. So changing your lines is going to be very important as ever. Jay Schaff leads the field to green. Richie Gaines leads on the outside, and Brian Cross is going to hold the bottom, whereas Logan Rumsey's going to get a crazy run on the high side using all that dark dirt that's left on the track.
Woo, 3 wide, almost there at the start-finish line. These cars are really hanging out there. Oh, we got one upside down.
That's Vinny Samson going upside down.
Man.
and out. He didn't end up racing in his heat. He tried this bit of a checkup in the middle of the field, and that car's going to wash high and send that car absolutely tumbling up and over. I think that was Drew Neal's car that checked up and sent went up high. Let's take a look at this. That is Drew Neal's nut car, Mark 35 for one on the car. Not quite the space on the outside, and that's going to send Vinny's car into a tumble in the pit lane. Might try and get back into this, but that makes our first caution of the C-Main, and probably not the last caution of the day that we have on the road. But the racing has been great so far, and if you're enjoying the dirt racing on the show, Maconi Entertainment is just getting into the dirt racing. We have the Aces Up series. If you subscribe on YouTube, you even have to get to deal with commentators that aren't me. So quite frankly, it's a joy for everybody in the room. And
it's a big part of here.
It's the big part of it here. Aces Up is how I first got into watching some of this dirt racing. It's been absolute joy. Look at the top side of the dirt in these turns, and how much that's going to differ in the next two. It's this big dynamic. In fact, it's been building up on the top in general. It's been this very interesting sort of swap dynamic. The top's been abused right up until the moment. It's garbage. Everybody runs bottom, and they make that top run just so much more quickly. Drivers are very, very adaptive here. It's what you get when you have two World of Outlaws drivers with 6 and 7K iRacing, Logan Rumsey and Adam Elby. They're all world champions in this series, and anything for the $100, let me tell you that. But we're far away from that, and you're going to have to earn your stripes in order to get there through this C-Main at the Baileys. We're green again. Jay Schaff leads the field with big checkups, and it's Richie Gaines taking the high side. Only really want to do it. Hasn't produced huge momentum. You can see, yeah, I think it's slowing down Richie as he's going to bump into Brian Cross over there. Everyone stays in one place.
Yeah, I definitely think there's speed up there. It's just the top right now is so far away, and the center of turns are kind of losing so much momentum, or excuse me, so much ground with that shorter line. But you can see when the drivers on the bottom slip up, you've got the throttle up and giddy up to get around them on that high side.
Lot of movement between Gaines and Cross here. These would just be for better starting positions at the back of the B-Main, C-Main field. It's very hard to climb in from the bottom to the top. But Gaines is not going anywhere. That cushion almost entirely gone in the top of the turns. Hasn't given up one bit. Cody Downer holds in that P5. Adam Elby is then holding off Glenn Reinhardt, and that's going to be the transfer position to move up. Glenn, very unfortunate earlier on. Vinny Samson, by the way, retired from the race. But Glenn, I'm not seeing momentum really come out from that car on exit when it matters right now.
Trying to get those left sides down as low as you can. Use the inside to try to get that car throttled up. These cars have very little no downforce, so once you get sliding, it's kind of hard to recover. You got to really feather that throttle. These drivers have to be extremely patient up here on the top. You can see that right rear just bouncing off the wall ever so slightly here and there. Oh, crossover, slide job. I think he made it happen.
That's going to get Dog a 7th, but he's going to need to get one more place to make this count in just the 2 to 3 laps we have around here. Make it 2 to go, and still tangling with Reinhardt on the exit of the turn. Both drivers are fighting for a little bit of nothing right now as Adam Elby just wants to run this high side for all the momentum it has. White flag is out there in the air. Glenn and Dog are still fighting it out tight, but I think Adam Elby's going to have enough of it. Not too good on exit, but throws it down to the bottom, and that's going to lead to contact with Glenn, and Blake Dolgar's going to fly through the bottom. Secure that win. Oh, that was just unfortunately placed. A desperate move, I think, there from Adam Elby in order to try and to secure this position. It wasn't good enough. I'm not going to get the replay, unfortunately, but I think you saw enough of it in there. Time flies, whether or not you're having fun, is sometimes what I say out here on the track. B-Main is live. Trey Schmidt lines up in first, Miles Jansen in second, Trevor Royer in third, and Bryce Lucius in fourth, Preston Cottrell in fifth, and Yancey Beasley in sixth. Brandon Steele lines up in seventh, next to Jay Schaff, Logan Rumsey, and Richie Gaines in ninth and 10th, Brian Cross in 11th and 12th, and Blake Dolgar is the final driver to make the cut. Maybe under this yellow I can actually get this pass, because this was just absolutely wild. Let's give this a shot Cautions last long enough that I might be able to get away with this. I love my session transitions. I really, really do. I believe this involved Glenn Reinhardt on the track, and an attempt to sort of cover him off didn't quite work. Dive to the bottom in order to just try and, on the last few laps, do something just a little bit desperate. It didn't quite pan out.
Trying to do whatever you can to advance to the next session, or the next main, and just everything you can, and that's the name of the game here in the dirt world.
That check up in the way from the 18, that massive slide job gave the room for this final transfer slot. Really, both drivers got slowed down in the pursuit of that, but that said, we're just straight back into another race, straight away. So another race where the top 6 are going to advance up to the top. Our bottom 6 are made up, of course, of the top 6 from the previous race. This is where the Cinderella stories could really, really begin, of course. Blake Dog, Cody Downer, Brian Cross, Richie Gaines, Logan Rumsey, and Jay Schaff are the drivers to look out for when it comes to their climb up the ladder. After this, we move on to a warm-up for our long feature. We're doing 14 laps around the track this time before we do 35 at the very, very end. So this is your chance to make your move to become a part of history, as they all say. Pace car pulls in, and Trey Schmidt will get to lead the field to the green. Lots of movement around the field this time. Look how much wider the cars are. A little bit of a bump. That's Brandon Steele getting sent all the way back. But everyone's trying different lines. It's an absolute gaggle back here. Yancy Beasley marks off that transfer line, but that's such a vulnerable position, and it's going to be barged away up the inside there by multiple drivers. There's contact the whole way down this pack, and you can see any driver that was anywhere near the transfer is very quickly taken out. Even up front, there's no separation.
I gotta say, it's pretty impressive. Lots of beating and banging out here with these big right rears cars, keeping them on the ground for now. And knock on wood. Already here to lap 3 of 14 here in the B main.
Brian Cross, next driver that wants to try and move his way up. He does clear for the P6. Linley Preston Cottrell loses out. Bit of a jump down the track there by Logan Ramsey, trying to cover up and slide them off some drivers. There's contact here between the 5th and the 6th. That's Brian Cross on the inside, cut off by Bryce Lucius on the outside. Another little bit of contact further up. Miles Jensen's in the wall, and that's going to check up this whole field now. This big gap after the transfer is huge. People are getting away, and that just means it's just going to be carnage to try and make this spot. Bryce Lucius in the wall. Round and down we go. That's a big record upside down car. That is Bryce Lucius upside down and out. Let's keep an eye on the replay. We're saying goodbye to Jeremy Briggs here, but thank you very much. I'd like to thank him very, very much for his contribution to the broadcast at this point. I got this, though. I'm very, very well. The 11 there, sliding up right in. Yancy Beasley, I think it was, that might have actually started that. And that's how she wrote. It's a long, long, long day ahead. It was already up in the wall. Bryce was already up in the wall, and Yancy Beasley is not going to make this any easier. They run up into that 7th. That's going to lead to one thing into another. So, just waiting out confirmation on the running order right now. When caution laps don't count, it's very, very hard to work it out. I believe Preston Cottrell's going to. Preston Cottrell's not leading the field. It is Trey Schmidt leading the field to the green flag. Preston Cottrell's in the pit lane. Trevor Royers in second. Logan Rumsey in third. Brian Cross, Miles Jansen, and Yancy Beasley, last driver, holding on to that transfer spot. Single file as ever, drivers holding up to the outside, and yet again, the lines are changing around here. Big cushion up there on the top, but sticking up a little on the inside. You can see that now slightly shinier edge to it. That cushion leaves you, though, as you exit the turn. Pace car pulls in. Trey Schmidt leads the field, and we are green again. Halfway through this B main. And Trey Schmidt, the only one that really wants to run up high. Andy Beasley doing it as well. Brandon Steele is the driver to contend for that position, and Beasley has stalled up and goes around. I think that was just a little bit of stalling and a little bit of going too deep into the turn and losing all momentum on the way out. He's here well up high, one of the only two drivers they are trying to do. And oh, it's a bump. It's sending it a little bit too deep into the car up ahead. Wasn't just oversending it, but that car up ahead turned out to be a little bit of a break for Yancey Beasley. Hearing news as well of a black flag for Jay Shaft. This might have something to do with pit entry or the pace truckers. Everybody waiting around the track for that thing to finally crawl on by. Trying to make proper ears of who is leading the race up now as every position shifts around there. Trey Schmidt, I believe, was our leader at the time of the yellow. Trevor Royer in second. Logan Rumsey in third. Brian Cross, Miles Jansen, and Brandon Steele currently our top 6 for that transfer slot. Pleased you're joining us here today. As previously mentioned, we're getting into dirt racing here at Maconi Entertainment. And in fact, Aces Up Sim Sports are due to run. They're actually running their 360 wing sprints right now at Lernerville. You're in the right place, though, I think. Most of you got me. They're here every week, though. They've also got a race at Williams Grove. So keep an eye on that channel. Subscribe on YouTube. And make sure you follow everything we cover. We've got all sorts of oval, road, and now dirt racing hitting up the channel. $100 is on the line today after today's feature. So this is the race of all the stakes, and we're going again on green. Trey Schmidt leads the field. Up high is Miles Jansen. That high line looks fast, but it doesn't have too much on exit. So trying to work out what the grip is very important. Brandon Steele bumps off the bump on the inside line. That's going to give the position up to Blake Dolger. Runs up high again. So you really don't want to bump into that hump entering pit entry. Nancy Beasley still on the track, running near the back. Was very fast, and there's a little bit of contact here near the back. That's going to cause a bit of a checkup. I think that involves Downard and Dolger, and that sent everyone away from this top 6, where people are scrambling right now for 4th, 5th, and 6th on the road. Drivers trying to catch up, and big slowdown for Cody Downard. Plenty of cut-ups and plenty of slide drops inside the transfer positions, with free wide again flying into turns 3 and 4. Brian Cross is going to get the worst of it on the bottom, though. White flag out in the air. Blake Dolger needs to do absolutely everything to try and make it into this feature. He's not making up ground. And all these drivers here looking for grid positions to go around. Brian Cross goes down and out and back. Multiple drivers involved there in that wreck that's going to send several flying out of this round in dramatic fashion. Brandon Steele was one of them, I believe. We have 5 minutes of warm-up, so I'm going to be able to try and catch up to what quite has happened once the session transfers over, I think. Brian Cross losing down and out. Confirmation we'll get of the drivers in the feature very soon. But we're going to have a track reset and 5 minutes of warm-up in order to hope get this track reset. Brian Cross crashing out of the race. Oh, do we get a slightly better view than here? Here it comes. Brian Cross on the high side. Pointed too far in, and there's a car coming up his inside. No yellow that late in the race. Checker's already flying, and that's going to send him flying down and out of the feature race. A little bit of bumping over the line as well. And with that, I should now be able to confirm our feature grid is going to be a long run on the track. Drivers bedding in the track right now if we return to live pictures. And we get a nice view of drivers on a very fresh track, getting in all the where they can. It's a big grid for our feature race. I'm trying to check if we can get it confirmed up right now. doesn't look like I can. That's a shame. Let's get the results of the E-main locked in and confirmed. As we lost a little bit, the drivers to be advancing are Trey Schmidt, Logan Rumsey, Trevor Royer, Miles Jansen, Blake Dolger, and Cody Downer. Big change-ups over the line. Look at how many cars we have running in this track. This is possibly going to lead to some concerning situations, I think, when the amount of wear on this track is going to make that final race absolutely brutal. I believe that our grid will be as follows. I don't have the exact drivers for it, but we'll double check this heading into the race. Ryan Avila, Tanner Pettit, Gunnar Harris, Blake Craig. Aha, we are ending the session early. And that means we actually are going to be getting ourselves the new starting grid for our feature. 35 laps. It's going to be a long one. $100 on the line to our winner. So it's all to play for here in this feature race. I was thinking 5 minutes of warm-up on this track is going to absolutely decimate it. 22 cars have made it, and my hunch wasn't completely wrong. Here's your grid for the feature. Ryan Avila lines up next to Tanner Pettit on P2. Gunnar Harris in third, lines up next to Blake Carrick in fourth. Matthew Rogers is in fifth next to Craig Selby. Ryan Gray is in seventh next to Landon Crawley. And Nick Cordova is in ninth next to Trey Schmidt in 10th. Logan Rumsey's in 11th next to Trevor Royer. Miles Jansen's in 13th next to Blake Dolgar. Cody Downard in 15th next to Brandon Steele in 16th. Yancey Beasley lines up in 17th next to Jace Schaff. Brian Cross is in 19th next to Preston Cottrell. Bryce Lucius is next to Richie Gaines. If any of those drivers you don't expect to be there, it's because iRacing and telling us that certain drivers advanced. It was actually 13 to the feature, and it dropped that on me at the very, very last second. So it was effectively the entire most of the field. What can you tell about this software? This is why you need plenty of extra voices in your ear. Glad you could be with us this evening as we wrap up the Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series with these thrilling wingless micro sprints at Huset Speedway. 35 laps. And on the front row, it's a rivalry as ever. Ryan Avila, a pro licensed driver from the What About Laws series, or Tanner Pettit has 10,000 dirt iRacing. And you could look at just how much wear's been done to that track already with this many cars running around. 22. Turns like 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are completely different. These corners here, they seem just completely even the whole way around, and it's just shiny the whole way down. On board with Ryan Avila's car here. I believe this one's 3 and 4. F. It's less worn from this angle than you'd imagine, but from here you can see the sun just bearing down on a slick, slick surface. Almost nowhere to run and nowhere to hide on this track. Our whole grid lined up and $100 on the line. Still 75 a second, but you want to take the whole pot, and Ryan Avila is going to lead the field to green for our feature race today. Plenty on the top side, and it seems plenty fast. That's our top three, all diving to it. 54 down there on the bottom, and it's a real gaggle down there in the back. A red car getting caught up. I think that's Jace Schaff there. Getting tangled up in a little bit of contact, but getting away with it, and that's not going to be getting away with it. That's Miles Jansen, sideways, but not down and out of it. We don't throw a caution. 35 laps will fly by like absolutely nothing if we stay at green. Here's Blake Clarick under pressure from Matthew Rogers. Almost took a wheel to the back of that car. Didn't quite take. Rylan Gray and Craig Selby, on the other hand, up in the wall. I think that's Rylan Gray. Heavily up in the wall and slight drop down on the way out. We do have a caution. It's Bryce Lucius, Trey Schmidt, Preston Cottrell, Nick Cordova, plenty more. Big record one. This might not be the car that gives us the best view of it. It might be, actually, it's this car. It's the 9 that stacks up the whole field. I believe that's Nick Cordova. He is the one that sort of just starts this chain of activity. Get ourselves another angle on board. I had to buy this track today. It's been an absolute thrill. Yeah, that check up into the wall and multiple victims on the track. Cordova's off the track. And we're going to return to live pictures now. Although trying to click on anything during a cautions not counting section is the worst experience of your life. Ryan Avila and Tanner Pettit are big competitors for the win, still on that front row. They've got, you know, Gunnar Harris, the 3K wingman behind them as well, so there's plenty that might just help them play their battle between each other. I believe that's the lights out. I believe that's the pace car getting ready to pull in. Forgive the immense jumping you're about to see on the timing tower. No, this is what I have to put up with. Yeah, exactly. That's why. Ugh, don't press that until green whatsoever. And here we are, green. Ryan Avila leads the field out to green. Single file this time around. It's Gunnar Harris. It decides to be the first one to make a move to the bottom line. Lets him hold off his position. Further back, here's where the movement is really beginning to occur. It's a much less chaotic start than the two-wide start we had to begin this race. And I think Tanner's just going to size up Ryan Avila and just try his best to work out the ways he can get the most pace out of it for that $100 prize at the end. Blake Clarick there you're seeing on board, running very, very wide on exit. Gunnar Harris in the GRHR car up ahead. And we're yellow again. It looks like a self-spin from Landon Crawley, although that is not quite what you wanted to see. Landon Crawley calls a caution, I believe, on this one on the track. Keep an eye. Is Landon's car focused on in the chopper? Off the wall, no real cushion there. Contact! And around. That might be contact with Logan Rumsey, we can confirm. They're just going back a little bit. It is contact with Logan Rumsey that sets this all up. He's in the wall and then tries to come down. And that's going to send much of the field spinning down and out. And that contact at the very end, though, that's not how you're meant to do that. Apparently, hearing apologies on the chat. Misleading spotter calls right as driver wants to go down to the bottom of the track. Many such cases of the spotter misleading you here on the track. 8 laps into our 35-lap feature. 2 cautions set the field so far. Ryan Avila and Tanner Pettit haven't made any dents on each other. $100 for P1, $75 for P2, $50 for 3, $25 for 4, and $10 for 5th. So, yeah, anything for being in this top 5, and everybody wants to be the winner. Especially these top 2, Ryan Avila and Tanner Pettit, are going to be absolutely trying to run away with this. We go green again. Gunnar Harris faster off the rip, and this time he's going up high. Very slick track all around. Almost no definition there in the dirt build-up on exit. That's Rylan Gray around, and that's going to cause a big stack up, and that's going to lead to the caution. You can see that one coming from a mile away. Rylan Gray, the car that goes around to start the caution. Bump into the 8. Comes up in front of the 8. That's going to get him slightly turned. It's a good save until the 18 comes in, and that's where the caution kicks off, when it becomes pinball on the track. Ryland Gray sitting there in a pit stop now. Trying to repair any damage you can. Of course, you don't lose your laps if you're able to repair in the length of the caution. Due to the way that caution laps do not count, as long as you can make it to the back of the field in time, you keep your lap and you're still on the track. Although, once the track goes green, we're being told you cannot enter the track under green flag. So, you need to take every bit of repair you can and then get out there and then hope something horrible happens to somebody else, because making our way from the bottom to the top is always a pain on a track this tight. Huset just does nothing but spectacular racing today. Probably quite happy I licensed it, to be honest. Maybe I'll make my money back. Ryland Gray, one of the only drivers in the pits, played Dolgers there as well. And we have a few more. Trevor Royer was caught up in that as well. All three catching their repairs. All three running out of time to really hit the track out now here again. Trevor Royer leaving the pit lane as the pace truck pulls in. And Ryan Avila gets to lead the field into turn 3. Riding that wall, and away he goes. A good launch, but look out for Blake Clarick. That felt like a fast run. He might try and clear Gunnar Harris. Actually, he's being held up here. Like Craig Selby almost makes a gun for it, but that was a very, very fast launch from Blake Clarick. He's just trying to get in and around to make up these places. Ryan Avila, big lead and hasn't lost it at all. Starting pole. Currently, he's first right now, but Tanner Pettit's under pressure with Gunnar Harris. Hard into the wall, Blake Clarick. He comes back down and he doesn't lose momentum. And that is indeed an upside down car. Upside down in turn 1, trying to work out who this is. That's Brian Cross's car. Trying to click on a driver in this field is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Here's Brian Cross. Oh, it's just a self shot. Just a self shot into the wall. Just overcooks it. And just takes the wall hit. Almost no other victims in this one today. Let's take a look at the roll bar view. And upside down is another wreck under caution, I'm told. See if we can catch this one out here while we can. I think somebody else just had a pretty rough time of it under caution. Not Ryan, it's not Trey. Plenty of beef in the chat, but that is definitely a day out here in the dirt community. Don't see anything out here on the track, so we're going to get back to the racing action. Pacing action as it stands. Only losing 3 laps, 5 minutes of green flag running if this continues all the way to the end, but we've seen a lot of wrecks. Some assisted, some self-wrecks now on the track. Pace truck's in, let's try and get some laps done around here. Race control says, I very, very much agree. Away we go. Tanner Pettit again, not getting the launch he really wants. Blake Clarick still trying to find a way past Gunnar Harris. I guess it just feels like he should go get a way around, but for all his free KI rating, Gunnar Harris has been very, very strong at holding his position and defending where he needs to. See that this track very evenly slick up on most of its surface. Down at the bottom, there's that strange groove in the other 2 corners, but here comes Gunnar Harris now trying to make a move on Tanner Pettit. I don't think there's enough momentum, but actually he's done a very good job of holding it in the mid-corner. And he might be able to clear on exit. Slide jobs up in front. Here comes Tanner Pettit. Makes a dive to the inside. He might be able to claim that one back. Harris at it again. To the inside. There's momentum on that bottom. I think it's faster than Tanner gives it credit for. And they're still even. Ryan Avila's going to be enjoying running away with this. Tanner is committed to that top side. It's not just because there's a car down low. does seem faster. Car around in the background. That looks like Brandon Steele. He goes around and back and might just rejoin to cause a yellow. Yes, yellow. That started one way and evolved quite a bit. Get an eye on Brandon Steele's car now. Turn by the 8 of Craig Silby. Here's what's weird. Sort of rejoins off the pace into the 18 of Blake Dolger, and then just sort of sits there. I think he is might be looking for a caution before then towing back out. One of league admins will take a look at that. Ryan Avila continues to lead the field, but this time Tanner Pettit came under pressure from Gunnar Harris. That was a really difficult defense there by Ryan Avila. I mean, just about held the position, but I'm constantly being impressed by the pace of Gunnar Harris. As we enter 3 and 4 now, that is 1 and 2. As we enter 3 and 4, we're going to get to go back green flag racing again. Pace car is in. And Ryan Avila gets the launch of his lifetime again. The whole field behind reacts, but the gap is significant, and that's going to Harris hard in the wall. And that's going to kill all the momentum he built up. Pretty much squandered in one go. It's now Blake Clarick in P3 looking for a lifeline like that this whole time. Harris up high again in the wall. Almost made touch with the field again, as he seems to have just be losing concentration now. More contact, Bryce Lucius. I know it's Miles Jansen's up and around, and that's our next yellow. Here is Miles Jansen's car. The contact actually happened up ahead between the 28 and the 32, and Miles Jansen just sort of responding to it. Not really sure where to go, and that's going to lead to the yellow. The cars get locked together. So that's just not even like the wreck. It's really on Richie Gaines, to be honest. Allows into the fade to a Bryce Lucius. It's those 3 cars that are going to go down and out and around. Bryce even gets one more little punch for good measure. How much is this playing into the hands of the top 2? Well, the laps aren't counting. So, but Ryan Avila's been enjoying these opportunities to run away on every restart. As the leader, you never really want to have to restart. You'd rather just run into the sunset. But these top drivers, it's been super stop-start. Gunnar Harris, probably going to be so disappointed with that run with 14 to go, though. Went from just flying up at the top of this pack all the way down into P5 and struggling now. But up front, one thing I know about dirt races is that they size you up until it matters, and then they'll do anything to win. So even though Ryan Avila has led every lap of this race, you cannot count on him to dominate from the front when it all matters and a trophy's on the line. Green again. Both drivers taking different lines. Tanner Pettit down low. That's going to give Blake Clarick a chance to try and take a run. I think Pettit lost a lot of momentum, and it's Logan Rumsey on his rear bumper, keeping him very, very honest here. Tanner Pettit now up high. That's going to hold off Clarick. And Gunnar Harris still seems determined to be in this. Step behind a Matthew Rogers that's more significant. Clarick up high against Rumsey. Little bit of slip and a little bit of contact sent reeling up into the air, and Gunnar Harris takes the place. Further back, Yancey Beasley sideways. Good save for that rejoin again. Oh, we all stay in one piece, except for Mike Jensen, who's upside down and around, and I feel like he might stay on this track to get a caution. There it is. So big checkups down the line, and Miles Jensen flies into that rejoining car. Not the first time Brandon Steele has rejoined like that, I must say, this race. It's not the first time he's just sort of had an incident and just put his way in front of another car that was coming up. And this time, Miles is the car on the other side. We're getting crumbs of laps here. But it's getting more competitive at the front every single time we look. Every single time we go green, that front is getting slightly pushier. Still impressed by Ryan Avila's launches, and they might just be the thing that gets him this win. Tanner Pettit hasn't shown superstar ability other than the ability to stay in touch in P2. And if you stay in touch in P2, you'll do anything to win to finish that race. Logan Rumsey took advantage of Gunnar Harris's mistakes. But Gunnar Harris did a good job fighting his way back past Clarick to make it up to P4. Really anyone's game in this top 5, I were to say. This track has produced nothing but spectacular moments all day. The progressive banking has added so much. Pace truck pulls off. Ryan Avila is going to control the field in turn 3 again. Now, at one point, Tanner Pettit's got to think about anticipating this launch. He does it better this time around. Logan Rumsey takes it up high, into the wall. Gunnar Harris down low. Holds up Blake Clarick's car quite a lot. He has to check up significantly. Matthew Rogers trying to dive below Clarick. It's almost done. I think it'll be sealed on the end of these next 2 turns. There's good exit pace at the bottom of those corners. A little bit of a argy-bargy down near the back. Up front, Logan Rumsey sneaks past Petit. He sneaks past both of them. An incredible exit there. And now this race might just be all his. Trying to clear Avila again. Where has this pace come from with 7 to go? Pettit's trying everything. Hugging that top side. Contact from Rumsey. Pushing Avila further up. Rumsey, another one of Outlaws Pro driver. So 2 of them now. They know each other on the track so well. Tanner Pettit's got to just try and get a nose in. I don't quite think it has happened. Drivers will do anything with 5 to go. Logan holding that middle, trying to make sure there's no good line around him. Avila's led this race since pole and has lost it in the final run. And if something happens near the back of the field, we'll be racking it up and we'll have a vicious restart. Avila's losing pace against the wall. Tanner Pettit still hasn't made momentum. Approaching 2 to go. And has this race changed in front of our eyes? Gunnar Harris is gunning for the P3. Not quite in. Ryan Avila's only got a few more turns. And you know what drivers will resort to if they have to. He sends it in, but there's no momentum. And after a race sitting further back, we don't look at that angle. We look at the static cam here of Logan Rumsey taking the checkered flag. And we do have a replay of when Logan Rumsey took that position because that was extraordinary. Here's Logan Rumsey. Charges into that bottom line. He has momentum going a little bit lower. And I think just both the other drivers wash it up. They don't commit to that high side. And that's going to give him the pace to do it. So he doesn't do anything special, but it's Avila and Pettit reacting to each other. They make a mistake at the same time, and that's all she wrote. You can just see that 12 trying to slide job Pettit, doesn't even think about the threat of Rumsey. Incredible racing, incredible racing. Our feature results then today after 35 laps. Logan Rumsey is our winner in the final 10, making it count. Ryan Avila led from pole, didn't quite take the win in P2. Tanner Pettit in P3. Gunnar Harris is in P4 in our final. Cash paying winner is Blake Clarick in 5th. Matthew Rogers is in 6th ahead of Jace Schaff, Preston Cottrell, Bryce, Lucius, and Yancey Beasley. Blake Dolgar sits in 11th ahead of Craig Silby, Brandon Steele, Miles Jansen, Richie Gaines, Ryan Cross, Landon Crawley, Cody Downer, Trevor Royer, and Rylan Gray. Trey Schmidt and Nick Cordova are our final 2 drivers on the track. And we're hoping to get to talk to some of those top 3 drivers. Let's see if I can make a nice ping. Been a great day of racing, and there's unfortunately nobody I can throw to, so you just have to like deal with me in the meantime. We're getting drivers coming in, so we're going to start from first to third, and first of all talk to Logan Rumsey. Logan Rumsey, welcome to the booth. I did not count you in for a chance to win that race until all of a sudden it just happened. Talk me through it.
Yeah, man, this being open setup, I didn't even really have I tested for like an hour and didn't really have anything good. I mean, I thought it was pretty good, but once we got in the race, I was just out to lunch, and my friend Gunnar Harris actually helped me out, like about right before the B main, and that thing was dialed in. I was just way faster than what I had before, and we were buried at the start of the feature, but just kept making moves whenever they opened up. It was really hard to pass, but when the move opened up, I was good enough to take it, so that's what we did, and it just yeah, I didn't count myself in at all either. I was back there in like 8th, and the track was so hard to pass. It was like I didn't even think I could finish 7th. So getting up to the win is crazy.
An awesome move on the bottom of the top 2, and they flew it up high. From that point, you're fighting for P1 out of nowhere. How does that moment sort of get to you? How do you remain locked in these moments?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to do. I passed somewhere in the middle, but it was kind of because I screwed up, so I didn't know to go back to the top or what. So I just kind of decided if I blow it right through the middle, it's gonna be hard for him to pass me. So I just tried to. There's about 4 to go. I just tried to run the same line, not screw up for the last 4 laps, and we got it done.
And on the topic of the track evolution over that race, what really worked and what really didn't? Because it felt like in that feature, that track almost never changed one bit, and it was a very, very unusual one out there, but I'm not the one driving the car.
It actually changed a lot. It probably didn't look any different, but the line actually moved around quite a lot. The start at the bottom was pretty good, but that went away, and it kind of just went to the top. But then right there at the end, about the middle of the race, it started locking up in the middle, and then it somehow went back to the top. But then right there at the end, I guess the middle was coming back in. So it did change a lot, but I mean it kind of looked the same the whole race, but it still changed somehow.
Well, enjoy the win and $100. Any other thank yous or shout outs?
Yeah, just gotta thank Brody for putting this up. It was a lot of fun. We don't run non-wings a lot, so and this track was very unique. And just making this a good show.
Well, I didn't know all too much dirt racing till a few weeks ago, and it's been an absolute joy watching you guys on the road. So good racing and a very good result.
Yep.
That's our winner, Logan Rumsey, and I think we're not going to have Tanner Pettit, but we are going to have Ryan Avila. Ryan Avila in the booth. Ran first the whole race until you didn't. Talk us through that long day.
It was a super tough track. Didn't set up right towards the end there, and cautions obviously didn't help. I had a pretty good car those first 5-10 laps, and I just couldn't get a feel for it. I think if we got a run, I would have pulled away just a little bit and just kept restacking the field with those yellows.
How did those track conditions benefit you? Because you didn't really get many long runs for the track to sort of build in your way.
Yeah, off of 2, I could really just hammer it, and 3 and 4 super slick. I'd always hit the wall, but seemed that was like the fastest line around. So tried something different through the middle, and eventually looks like Rumsey ended up on the bottom, and all those guys behind us just making laps. Not much I could do there, just except play the waiting game and see what happens. But yeah, I just messed up. I think just a little bit on the setup, and that hurt us just eventually in the end.
Well, you will be remembered as a driver who had a very, very strong race. Any other thank yous or shout outs before we wrap up the show?
I just got to thank Tanner Pettit over at Tanner Pettit Racing, everyone over there, Jimmy P. Mac Tools, 1425 Photography, Ethan Johnson over at Free Speed, Trackside Collective, Aces Up Sim Sport. Just thank them for what they do for the team. Obviously, the league coming back, and you guys for broadcasting.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. So you still got a prize, you still got a result, and hope to see you back soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And just like unexpected, Tanner Pettit then just drops in right as I say he's not going to be here. So it seems right to bring it in. Tanner Pettit in P3, always stuck behind someone. Talk us through quite how much work it was to try and get around people when it didn't quite materialize.
It was really tough out there, especially with no moisture on the racetrack. It's really hard to, kind of make a run and get around somebody without kind of beating the wall down there. So tried my best too, and kind of just got stuck behind Logan and Ryan there, side by side there at the end, and ended up third. Still a solid finish, and proud of Ryan and Blake for their efforts as well.
I gotta ask a question, me not being as familiar as I was, just about how hard it is to get a good restart done around here, because it felt as if Ryan had the runaway every single restart, but I also have to be imagining the drivers behind aren't exactly incompetent. It's just a lot harder to predict his lead. Was there any point in which you think you might have actually nailed his timing?
No, he definitely had it dialed with how much to get in the throttle and all that. I was just struggling with whether to get into it too much, not getting into it enough, when to turn down, so on. Just with how slick it is and a 410 non-wing, it definitely makes for a challenge there on the restarts. So overall, we did the best we could, and yeah, it was a fun one.
Certainly was a fun day on the track. Any other thank yous or shout outs?
Yeah, I'd like to thank 1425 Photography. I'd like to thank Jimmy P. Mac Tools, Aces Up Sim Sports, CD Cinematography, Trackside Collective, Blake Herrick Racing, and everybody on the team that helps out. And you guys for putting the broadcast on, and the league. It's all a blast.
I mean, I guess we did just talk to a teammate just before, so make that the double. They're going to enjoy that double integration. Well, it's been a joy. It's been a joy to cover the last 2 weeks. I'd love to do more. Thank you very much for the racing and for having a chat.
Thank you for putting on. Thank you for the interview.
And that marks the end of a day that comes as quickly as it goes. These races have been an absolute joy, and I'd love the chance to cover more of them. But while we don't have more lined up on the channel right now, there's still more dirt racing happening on Maconi Entertainment on the Twitch channel, as well as YouTube right now. I think they're just wrapping up the 360 Wind Sprints races up Sim Sports. By the time you're out of here, I'm not entirely sure you'll be able to catch too much more of it, but we're back on the channel again at Williams Grove next week. Same time, same place. So keep an eye out for the Aces Up Sim Racing. Got them on board, and it's wonderful to see them come out on the other side. Plus, plenty more racing from all over iRacing, of course. All sorts of series with all sorts of fantastic talent and some fantastic driving on the track too. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as the Twitch. Anywhere you possibly can to catch more of it. I've been Howie Burrows from Maconi Entertainment. We were joined by Jeremy Briggs a little bit earlier on in the day, wishing you a very big thank you for watching and spending your time with us this evening, and wishing you the best.